Hello Tanks and Tankettes, welcome to this, the second of my Supporter Week videos, and today's theme is going to be tank destroyers, although only one of these games is going to be from World of Tanks. Well, you'll see. We're kicking off with Redman36, whom we already know likes his tank destroyers. Two of the three games of his that I've featured in Supporter Spotlight videos already have been the Su-85B. This time, however, it's something a little more higher tiered, although no less seal clubby, perhaps. It's the E25, the possibly infamous, I don't know if that's the right word to use, legendary. It's certainly a fun machine to play, and he has decided to make it even more fun by putting on the food consumable, so goodness knows what his reload is. Probably less than 2 seconds, easily. So, he's got pretty decent matchmaking. It's mostly tier 7 on each side, with, well, I say that, mostly tier 6 and tier 7 I should say, with a couple of tier 8s. Unfortunately, he's just been spotted very early, and I'm not sure if he had already been spotted when he fired, or if that was just a split second later with that LTTB going past, but either way, he's just taken a big hit. That has to have been a Soviet 122mm, so it could be the Su-100, it could be the IS-2, or even the IS-3 if he's down there, though that would be a very odd place to be in an IS-3. His own top tiers are going up to the high ground, which is excellent to see. Most of the tanks down here are tier 6s, although the Black Prince platoon seems to be trying to push the middle. In a fast medium tank, or even in a light tank like the LTTB tried, you can, as a very high risk maneuver, try and get up that middle ground there, go through the middle, get up there, and that can be a decisive advantage. Oh wait, there's the IS-3, what? Okay then, we know where the enemy top tier heavy is. But to try that in a pair of Black Princes just seems a little bit foolish, and one of them is basically almost dead already. So anyway, the IS-3 is side-scraping. The Churchill 7 is actually well enough angled that at this distance, Redman's going to have quite a difficult time penning him. KV-2, however, much more flat armour on display, so we can have a go at least at penning that guy. But he is firing at a couple of 100 metres here, at the very least. Meanwhile, they just lost the T-34. The IS-3 is still alive, but there's not that much of a presence on the high ground now. But the fact that their IS-3, the enemy team's IS-3, is down here, in theory is very beneficial. Now Redman gets a nice penetration through the side. It was fairly angled, but a bit too over-angled. And it looks like this IS-3 actually might now be trying to push this line, which is not the smartest tactic. I mean, we saw what happened to the Black Princes, and yeah, the IS-3's got pretty good armour, and yeah, this guy's got fantastic matchmaking, but he's already well down on hit points. So this is a very bad place to be in your top tier heavy tank, generally speaking. So we've got an IS and an IS-2 pushing round from the high ground, but the IS-3 and the Cromwell that are on Redman's team are coming back to try and deal with it. However, the enemy E25 has managed to get up on the hill, and oh, that's an unlucky miss. So that could be very bad news for both of them, because not only will they have artillery to contend with, but they'll have the E25 perched up on that hill, pelting those little 75mm shells down into them as well at a very rapid pace. So, although there's not that much of a gap in numbers right now, looking at the mini-map, the enemy team definitely seems on the offensive. They're holding the valley with basically a KV-2 and 2 OIs at this point, who are probably both derp OI, so it's 3 derp machines versus a KV-3. So I guess it just, you know, we'll see who runs out of health sooner. But to the east, things are not looking so rosy. So the IS-3 is down, the Cromwell's down, the T-150 is down, so all that's left to really defend over that side is an AT-8. Meanwhile, in the valley we've lost the KV-2, Redman now repositioning to a more central position so he can basically use this mobility and not have to move as far to cover either side. So those OIs are still very low health, but that IS-3, I said KV-3 there, the IS-3 is an easy one-shot derp. However, they're also now easy pickings for the tanks on the high ground that can just shoot down there. So those OIs, but one of them's now dead, are not in a great position. Redman spots he can get some hits on the Hellcat, and oh, well, that's unfortunate. They all hit apart from that last one, so the Hellcat gets away with his life. The E25 fortunately does not. He gets taken out by artillery, and in an act of supreme mutual derpery, the IS-3 and the OI obliterate each other at the exact same moment. Now the 88's just taken a big hit, I suspect from artillery. Of the tanks that are left, the IS-2 and the Churchill 7 might pose a problem for this frontally. In fact, the Churchill 7 we've already seen does pose a problem for this frontally. Redman does have a dozen APCR shells. Hasn't used any of them yet, but he's now loading some up because this is crunch time. This is really getting down to it. He takes out the low health IS-2, which is great, although not quick enough to save the 88. He wasn't quite in position. Then he spots an SU-100Y, who's probably been all the way at the back on the 1-2 line up until this point. Turns his gun. Unfortunately, I don't think he realises that he's still firing the APCR. He might end up needing that, maybe. Although at this stage, the only thing that would pose a problem would be that Churchill 7. So he easily takes out the box tank, but he has lost a lot of his APCR in the process, and still firing APCR at this this SU-100, who fortunately doesn't seem to have the top gun, unless that was a shot from the Churchill. Actually, that could have been a shot from the Churchill. It might have been one of the 85 mils if the SU isn't fully upgraded. I wasn't paying attention to what gun they had. It might have been they had the top gun. It probably was the Churchill. Looking at the damage, it was almost certainly the Churchill. So he relocates again, falls back even further. There's not a lot left to do at this point other than that. The Churchill's basically facing him head on, but there we go. Those APCR shells, those final ones, come in very useful. And all that's left at this point is an SU-100 and a Hellcat. We know the Hellcat's a one-shot. In fact, actually no, that is an 85 mil, so it could have been the SU-100 that shot him. So he fires, gets spotted again, possibly by the Hellcat, immediately relocates. Artillery takes out the SU-100, but gets counter-artied himself, because obviously he got spotted in the process. So it is now down to Redman. Oh, and the Hellcat, and there's the Hellcat. Oh, that's nasty. It was a low roll, but even so, he can't survive another hit. Come on, reload. Oh, he missed. He missed. He was stationary as well. Was that just sheer RNG? Well, without the Hellcat's replay, we will never know. We will never know. Now this has actually come down to, and there's RT firing missing, a rather familiar situation actually. I think the first of the SU-85B games I put up from Redman came down to exactly this. Except this time he's not in an SU-85B, he's in an E25, and he's hunting the last artillery in his badly damaged tank destroyer. So yes, heavy shades of deja vu right there. So he's having a poke around because this is a French artillery he's dealing with, and those things are fast. This guy could have relocated to anywhere. So initially it looks like he might be thinking of going to the hill, and then he turns around and thinks maybe he should check the cap instead. I'm not sure. But either way, this is all going to be over sooner rather than later, I hope, because there's still 6 minutes left of this. He's got plenty of time to go and cap, but that is a risky proposition. If he goes and caps now, then the RT, if the RT's gone up to the high ground, the RT could just try and outspot him from bushes along the 3 line, the D line. D rhymes with 3. But as it turns out, that's all moot because, yeah, there's the Lorraine RT. He actually had come up here. If Redman had gone to the cap and tried to cap, that might have gone very badly. So his first shot goes wild, only just though, just goes over. Second one takes the RT's tracks, the RT immediately repairs. Third shot, and oh well, that didn't kill him, but it did track in the end. And there we go, there's the kill. So yes, this was an oddly identical situation to that SU-85B, or it ended up being an oddly identical sort of end of the battle situation to that SU-85B game that you have seen earlier. But this time round, I suspect he'll have made a bit more money doing so, even despite the premium food consumable. So there you go, last one alive on his team, nearly 1400 base XP, just over 3000 damage, and 6 kills. Easily top of his team, although the artillery did over 2,000 damage as well, so it would have been a tougher game without that artillery on point. He actually got a bit of assistance damage there as well, 1,200, but maybe the standout figure there is that most of his damage was done from a distance of over 300 meters. So there's that extreme accuracy of this gun coming into play. And even without a premium account, we can also see he still would have made a profit. But yeah, even so, even having fired all of his premium and used the food consumable, he still walked away with over 40,000 credits in his pocket. So that's not bad. Next up, it's Armoured Warfare. No, they haven't implemented a replay system, don't get excited. This is Manty111. He's actually in the AW Circ clan. He's probably in one of the World of Tanks Circ clans as well. He's also one of my Patreon supporters, obviously, because, you know, this footage is showing up here. But this is footage he has recorded on his computer as he's been playing live, and he's then uploaded it to Dropbox and sent it to me. So if you're willing to do that, and bear in mind that a 1080p video file, you're talking probably sort of 2 gigabytes plus in the region of. I mean, this was about 2.5 gigabytes for however long this replay is. It's about 7 minutes worth, I think, 60 FPS. So it's possible to not have massive file sizes, but if you have a terrible upload speed, then it's probably going to take you a while. So yeah, it's possible. It's possible. If other people want to do this, then it's fine. You just send me a Dropbox link or some other file sharing service. I mean, I think Google Drive might be able to handle files of that size. I'm not sure. But yes, I probably will mostly be taking these kind of things from people I know, though, because, you know, downloading files from Dropbox from total strangers could go horribly awry. But in this case, you know, I know Manty, so I thought this would be interesting. This is the first non-me footage that we've had on this. Wow, that was a good sentence. It's the first footage from another player I've had of Armoured Warfare on the channel, and it's interesting to see someone else's point of view. Although, talking of point of view, we can see he's got his field of view slider completely maxed out, pretty much. It produces some rather wacky effects at the edge of the screen, especially if he's angling his tank like that. But there is an advantage to that, and it's something that a lot of FPS players do as well. They will max out that FOV slider, because although your graphics card is having to essentially render more stuff, and you do get that distortion effect, you're also seeing more, and that can actually be a pretty big advantage. If somebody's running around with a 70-degree field of view, and let's say for argument's sake this is 120, because most games only go up to 120, sometimes just being able to see something out the corner of your eye on the edge of the screen, that can be a big advantage. So this is the Merc Zhalo-S. There's a regular premium version of this as well, but they've already done a couple of different, like, there's premium versions of regular tanks, and then there's kind of reskinned versions of premiums, so it's possible to have the same premium multiple times in your garage. I've got the regular premium Zhalo. If I'd bought the Merc version, I could have had two, you know, if I really loved it. Now this is an interesting machine. It's one of the wheeled ones, and it only has AP ammo. It's kind of a bit unwieldy because it's so long, and because it has wheels. And there are a couple of wheeled vehicles in this game. It takes a little bit of getting used to. If you can drive around competently in something like the AMX 10P90, for instance, it's, yeah. And because this is a tank destroyer, it has that common trait of, well, the gun reloads quite quickly. It doesn't necessarily do massive amounts of damage. It's decent damage for a tier 4, but it's the reload speed, it's the aim speed, and it's the bonus you get when you're sat still and fully aimed that make tank destroyers powerful. Although it does suffer a little for not having any heat ammo, because in most cases heat ammo will have lesser penetration but higher damage, at least in Armoured Warfare. That enemy AMX, whatever that is, no, that's an LAV, isn't it? Yeah, don't know what he was doing, just going for a little swim, I don't know, just rapidly realising that, hey, yeah, that's ocean, I'm going to drown, but didn't make it back to land. So you can see here the aim speed, it's very good. He's possibly got retrofits on it that increases aim speed, increases reload speed, and of course what commanders you put on your vehicles matter a great deal as well. You can really fine-tune vehicles actually, probably more with the retrofits than the commanders, but it all adds up. If you get a commander that has a particular area of expertise that you want, and then you stick on retrofits to further enhance that, then yeah. So in this particular engagement on Lost Island, I mean, both of each teams have lost about half their tanks, and it's come down to, well, they've pretty much won. This is the southern, the only tank left in the south, as it were. Southernmost tank? That didn't make any sense. And at this point, he's been very cautious up till now. He's been ducking behind things, using cover where possible, but he then just makes a go of it because he's got the hit points to spend. And that is one of the other features of these machines. You have to be cautious. You have to keep your distance where possible. And it's maybe a bit like the French vehicles in World of Tanks in that regard. You've only got so many hit points to spend. Staying alive relies more on being nimble, having your head on a swivel. And that's true of a lot of vehicles in Armoured Warfare. Not just, you know, tank destroyers as a class, but a lot of the AFVs, a lot of the well, in fact I would say all of the light tanks, and some of the MBTs as well. You don't really have a lot of armour at all. Now you do get speed with a lot of the tank destroyers in particular, obviously the light vehicles as well. You can see it's not bad, but the wheels at speed, it can be, yeah, you've got to take into account that you have a turning radius. You can't just turn on the spot. And it's funny how you get into that habit of, I'm in a tank, I can just turn on the spot, and you can't do that at all. But yeah, and anyway, he's actually been able to get to this last enemy in the north, and oh, just dropped there. Doesn't quite get the last kill though, but yeah, it was actually able to get all the way up here quick enough to get a hit in on that last enemy, which was quite amusing. But that was quite a convincing win, and he really didn't lose a lot of health in the process. In fact, it was probably only nudging into allies. So we've got the results screen here. I don't know what those awards are. I don't have them all memorized, but as you can see, with premium he had a pretty good result. That was a nearly 250,000 credits, and this was, I think, before we had any of the recent events going on, although you might have had some boosters going or something, I don't know. But as you can see, top of the team in terms of damage, in terms of score. And that's the thing, if you want to get those nice credit and nice XP results, you got to play PvP, really. That's the incentive to play PvP. PvE is a bit more relaxed, a bit more chilled, but the rewards are lower. It's like lower risk, lower reward. So I think it's perfectly fair, to be honest, that there is such a disparity. If you want to grind up lines, then PvP is where you go. But for myself, you know, I took the decision that I'm going to be a PvE Care Bear, because I've just, I don't know, I've sunk so much time into playing PvP World of Tanks that learning a whole new set of maps and everything, you know, I like the mechanics and everything in Armoured Warfare, but no, PvE is a bit more relaxed, and I think I like the pace of that more. So hopefully you've enjoyed this video, this new thing to the channel, bit of Armoured Warfare PvP player action, non-me action, as I so eloquently put it. And if you have enjoyed it, you can hit the like button, you can leave any comments below, you can sub if you want already, and as always, stay tuned for more.